We start the bulletin with some educational stories. And authorities at Accra Academy are worried about the lack of teachers to implement the double-track senior high school system introduced by government for the new school year. The assistant headmaster for academics, Ebo Say, in an interview with JoyNews, said the school has had to adjust its original plan to let visual arts students on the green track join the gold track due to the lack of teachers. He stated that the school has realized that there would be excessive pressure on existing teachers if they are to run the program on the double track system as stipulated by the Education Service.
Now, with the new system, visual arts, we have two classes. The two classes, the rooms in the school do not make it makes it a bit difficult to have, or let's say, because they are on separate tracks, okay? And in normal circumstance, you would have had one visual arts class, one agric class, okay? Now, what is happening now is that the issues I talked about with the teachers. That is where our challenge is.
So you're saying that the teachers in the school are not enough to teach visual arts?
No. What I'm saying is that we will need to bring in, yes, maybe I'll have to accept that, but we will need to get extra teachers on board in order to make up, okay, in order to make up. Now, what I mean by making up, I started by telling you that the form before they were teaching Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3. Okay, now with the normal system, that is the Form 2 and 3 group, we are going to have only a teacher, let's say the sculpture teacher, taking sculpture in Form 2 and sculpture in Form 3. We will need a new teacher for sculpture in only the green track. We will need a new teacher for sculpture in only the gold track. And these teachers will not even have the full complement of periods, because it's only 4 periods. Because one, we first engaged the students, we talked to them about the issues, and then I made them we invited the parents on board. So we engaged the parents, explained everything to them. Okay, then when we did, I think some of the issues that came about, some were insisting that, okay, they should take them home. No. There was a need for communication first. That is why it was being done. So we have communicated, we've engaged them, and then they are spending this week. We've allowed them, at least let them be comfortable. But we have engaged them next week, because majority are even day students. They will come on the gold track as we engaged with the parents.
And away from education, the Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu, has come under scathing criticism from some sections of society after he asked Ghanaians to applaud government for implementing policies which he says has ensured prices of petroleum products did not go higher than it would have been under the Mahama administration. The 3.5% increment has been greeted with uproar by most Ghanaians. Mr. Amewu, who addressed a news conference, said consumers would have been paying more than what pertains currently, but for government's prudent policies and measures. Well, there's more in the following reports.
The minister's news conference was his first major media interaction since he took over from sacked Energy Minister Boakye Jako. He spoke on the state of various agencies directly under his ministry. On the state of a bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST, John Peter Amewu said it had been run down over the years, making it necessary for a forensic audit to provide evidence for the possible prosecution of persons responsible.
An audit will be commissioned into the BOST operations between 2013 to 2018. This will ensure that persons against whom adverse findings will be made will of course face the full rigors of the law. The audit will also provide recommendations for restructuring of BOST management, operations and financial management. Full details of the findings are expected to be received by the end of October.
On issues relating to the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, the Energy Minister said 11 power purchasing agreements signed under the John Mahama administration will be terminated to ensure ECG does not have power exceeding consumers' demand.
As a result of the review exercise, government stands to make significant savings from the deferment or the terminations of the review of the PPAs. The estimated cost for the terminations amounting to almost $402 million, compared to an average annual capacity cost of $586 million each year, or a cumulative cost of $7.2 billion from 2018 to 2030.
Government has been criticized, particularly for the hike in fuel prices amidst suggestions that the special petroleum tax be scrapped. But Mr. Mewu maintains the situation could have been worse.
Without government intervention, as I've stated earlier, prices today would have been 5.54 per litre for petrol and 5.55 per litre for diesel. So what means is that the price we are paying today, if the Mahama-led administration is still in force, you will be paying quite close to between 9 to 10% higher than the current prices that Ghanaians are paying. I think in time we give this government the recognition for caring for the people of this country.
Deputy Energy Minister Dr. Amin Adam revealed government is currently reviewing the special petroleum tax to decide on scrapping it.
As far as scrapping it completely, the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy are discussing other options, and therefore when a decision is made eventually, the people of Ghana will know.
Well, let's do some mainstream politics now. And political marketing strategist Dr. Kobi Mensah is pushing for political parties to open up their internal elections to allow registered voters, including non-party members, participate in choosing their flag bearers. Dr. Kobi Mensah believes the current system that allows only party members to decide who leads them limits the scope from which voters during national elections select from. He believes the nation is currently sometimes denied of quality leadership since few people easily market and get their candidate elected. He has been speaking to JoyNews on the sidelines of a dialogue series on the theme, the primary contenders, the candidates, the issues where they stand and how they could win.
If you look at our political structure, I mean, the way our political parties operate, obviously over the years we have allowed, the candidate to be selected by delegates until the last time, I think, when was it the NDC tried to change, the narrative by having what they call the one member, one vote, which we don't know whether they are going to even apply that. Now, in the past, what we see is delegate conference and they select the leaders. Now, this delegate conference, NPP also tried as much as possible to broaden, the number, to have a very bigger, forum where people can genuinely be elected. But we know that these delegates have been bought by what we call political entrepreneurs. I mean, Professor Ninsen actually coined that term. People who have the money, who can resource, the candidates. And then we know what candidates have done in the past. We hear candidates housing or, hoteling people, if I can use that word. They put certain number of people into the hotel, they fund them, they feed them, they give them, they promise them money. And then they go ahead to vote for that candidate. What is it? Isn't it cowboy moves? So I think that increasingly we have elected presidents that haven't actually been elected by the people themselves. We have had people imposing leaders on us, and we go ahead and say this is democracy. I think that is not acceptable. We probably have a way to make it better. And for me, I am for universal suffrage. Can we actually let people, Ghanaians, vote in party primaries so that we know, at least even the presidential, so that we know that the candidate that has actually been put forward was actually put forward by Ghanaians, and therefore you go ahead to compete with the other candidate and they will win. I think that would be much more fair and much more respectful to Ghanaians than what we have now.
In other news, the Ghana Revenue Authority says it has seen a significant improvement in its operations with the introduction of the taxpayer identification number. A taxpayer identification number, known to many of us as TIN, is a unique number generated by the GRA for all of us, as well as those who are in institutions, to enable the GRA track as well as check the payment of taxes. Speaking to JoyNews on the sidelines of a sensitization workshop for taxpayers and traders, the Chief Revenue Officer at the Legon Medium Taxpayer Office, Richard Ajago, noted there's a need to consciously educate the public on the need to pay taxes to enable the GRA meet its end-of-year targets.
With the passing of the law that without a tin you cannot transact business with a whole lot of institutions, it is helping a lot, because now everybody has to come around. If you have to open a bank account, you need to come to us to give you a tin to be able to do that. Registration of vehicles, you need to come to GRA for a tin. So it's gone a long way to help us. We are getting more companies on board. In other words, we are widening the tax net through the introduction of that tin policy. It is a policy of the Ghana Revenue Authority this time around to encourage voluntary compliance. In other words, tax collection and tax administration is moving away from where we use the whip to enforce our laws to encouraging voluntary compliance through education and then constant and continuous educational or seminars.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority has instructed that from November 1, ethanol, lead-acid batteries, canned tomato, fish and drinks will be banned from being warehoused. The Assistant Commissioner of Customs Division at the Kotoka International Airport, Theresa Cheyasari, says the move is to check smuggling.
The warehouse system is it's a system in which that we allow you to keep your goods that duties have not been paid into the warehouse, but the warehouse is under bond, and then we give you a period for the various goods that you want to warehouse. We have perishable goods given 3 months, and then we have the general goods that we give you 1 year, and then we have the raw materials that we give you 2 years plus another 1 year of extension, and it gives relief to importers, because especially those who import goods in bulk, maybe someone will bring a shipload of rice, and so you have to keep them in the warehouse. They have the advantage of keeping them in the warehouse and then paying for the duty as at when that the goods are needed into the system. So it is a way of relief, a system of relief for importers who import bulk goods or maybe high dutiable goods, or if they want maybe they are going through financial stress and so they don't have money to pay upfront, and so they will use the warehousing system as a means of bringing in goods. These products are actually high at the duty rate at 35%. And the fact that people can just keep them in the warehouses and they may find a way of re-exporting them, but in the process of re-exporting them, these goods may not get out of the country. And so if you get them into the warehouse, the probability that they may be using the re-exportation to smuggle them out is high. And so that's why we want to place a check on them.
And to end the bulletin, the Ghana Immigration Service rounded up some 73 foreign nationals believed to be engaged in prostitution in the Red Coal neighborhood in Medina in the Greater Accra region. The swoop followed an intelligence gathered by the Immigration Service. Well, Kingsley Otu brings us more.
Speaking at a news briefing, Deputy Superintendent of Immigration Linda Asari Mante said a total of 82 females were arrested, including 72 Nigerians, a Togolese, and 9 Ghanaians. She added, barring any constraints, the foreign nationals will leave the shores of the country the same day.
This morning, the enforcement unit of the Ghana Immigration Service undertook a swoop of the Royco neighborhood at Medina in Accra and arrested 73 foreign nationals and 9 Ghanaians, numbering 82. The swoop was based on intelligence picked by the Ghana Immigration Service. The breakdown for the foreign nationals were 72 Nigerians and 1 Togolese. Every foreigner who enters the country should have a passport. That is the document that allows you to enter the country. And so if you are in the country and you are claiming you don't have a document, a passport that allowed you to come into the country, it means maybe you entered the country illegally, or there are other issues to your stay in the country. If everything goes on as smoothly as possible, they would be sent back to their country today.
Linda Asari-Mante says the Immigration Service will extend the operation to flush out foreigners engaged in nefarious activities to other areas noted for such activities. She also cautioned hotel owners who use their facilities as brothels to desist from that, as they will face the full rigors of the law when caught.
Our enforcement is on ground. They are still doing their swoops, investigations, going around to do their enforcement duties. And so when we get any other tip-up, or when we go to the scenes that these practices are happening, we'll definitely do what we're supposed to do. Owners of hotels who engage in such practices to desist from it. It is not a proper thing to do, especially when you have to involve foreign nationals into this business. It is not a good thing. And we are telling the hotel owners that we are coming at them. And when they are arrested, we will, the due processes or the law would have an effect on them.
Kingsley Otu's report for JoyNews.
Oh, it means that the Ghana Immigration Service would have to conduct more swoops, because we have more people who may not be living in Ghana with the right documents or papers. Well, it's scattered all over there. But in the meantime, though, please get interactive. Facebook JoyNews on TV is our regular page. Let us know what you think about some of our posts, especially the topical ones, those that are dominating your discussion platforms. But Mama Views and the rest of the team will be here to do a review of the newspapers. We just have about 3 newspapers, I believe, the Daily Guide, Daily Graphic, and the Ghanaian Times. And then also we'll go on to the online portals, look at some interesting stories dominating the headlines earlier this morning. Well, we'll have to do all that up next. But good morning to you, Jesse Kuku Hamilton, as well as to your mother, Lydia Batachim. Good morning to all of you. I hope that you're enjoying your time. And we have to take a break. When we come back, well, we'll bring you the holiday edition of the review of the newspapers. Stay with us.